Back in 2020, when the pandemic was still causing all kinds of chaos, I started driving for Uber to make ends meet. I was laid off from my retail job and needed quick income. The thing about rideshare gigs is you see all kinds of people, especially when you're working late nights like I was. There were awkward encounters, drunk passengers, weird conversations, but none of that compares to what happened one Friday night in October. It was a little after midnight, and I had just dropped someone off at a hotel near the outskirts of town. My app pinged almost immediately with a new request. The pickup location was about 6 minutes away, in front of a bowling alley that was part of a strip mall. Pretty standard stuff. The name on the ride said Derek. I accepted it and started heading over. The area was quiet when I arrived, just a few dim parking lot lights. No cars in sight, and the bowling alley looked closed. But there was a man standing alone under one of the lights, wearing a gray hoodie and jeans. He was tall, maybe 6'2", with his hands in his pockets, head down like he was looking at his shoes. As I pulled up, he looked at me, but didn't wave or move. I rolled down the window and said, "You Derek?" He nodded slowly, walked over, and got into the back seat behind me. I started the trip and asked him if the destination in the app was correct, an address about 20 minutes away in a residential neighborhood I'd never been to. He said, "Yeah, that's right," in a quiet, calm voice. I remembered thinking he sounded a little off. Not drunk or high, just sort of flat, emotionless. But I didn't think too hard about it at the time. I started driving, and he didn't say anything for the next 5 or 6 minutes. I glanced at him in the rearview mirror now and then, and every time I looked, he was staring straight ahead. Not out the window or at his phone, just at the back of my head. I tried to break the silence by asking how his night was going. He paused, then said, "Just needed to get out of there." I asked, "Out of where?" He said, "Doesn't matter." So I didn't push it. We drove a while longer. About 15 minutes in, I realized we were getting closer to the destination, but the address was in a really isolated part of town. No streetlights, big yards, and lots of trees. As we approached the address, he suddenly leaned forward and said, "Actually, can you pull into that driveway right there?" He pointed to a house on the right. The house was dark, no lights on inside or out. It looked old and abandoned, honestly. It had an overgrown lawn and paint peeling on the siding. There was also no car in the driveway. I said, "Is this your place?" And he said, "Just pull in." I hesitated, but turned into the driveway. I stopped near the front of the house and put the car in park. He didn't get out. I looked back at him and said, "Everything all right?" He stared at the front door and said, "Wait here." Then he got out and started walking toward the house. He didn't go to the front door. He walked around the side of the building and disappeared from view. I sat there for maybe 2 minutes, trying to decide what to do. He grabbed his rifle and stormed out to check the property. I asked my mom what was going on, and she said, "There have been a few break-ins in the area. A guy wandering through the woods trying to get into homes. The description you gave matches exactly." The police were called, but they didn't find anything. No signs of entry, no footprints, just cold, black woods. That should have been the end of it, but it wasn't. That night, as I tried to sleep, I could hear a light tapping sound beneath me. My bedroom was on the second floor, directly above the movie room. It sounded like metal gently tapping glass. I tried to convince myself it was nothing. The tapping lasted for hours. This happened night after night for weeks. Sometimes it would stop. Sometimes I'd wake up at 3 a.m. and hear it faintly again. I even thought I heard footsteps on the roof one night. I checked the windows, but I never saw anyone. Still, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being stalked, watched. Then winter came. My parents had to go out of town for a few days, but they were still nervous about what had happened. Before they left, they gave me a shotgun just in case. We also had a big Rottweiler, sweetest dog you'd ever meet and totally silent, unless something was really there. One night while I was home alone, I heard slow, crunching footsteps in the snow outside, heavy and deliberate. The dog stood up, ears perked, and began growling low and deep at the front door. Then barking, ferocious, loud, and non-stop. He only ever did that when he saw something real. I stayed silent. I didn't want whoever was out there to know I was home. I didn't move. Then came the knock. Slow, hollow, and taunting. I didn't answer. I slept with the shotgun next to me that night. Door locked, blinds drawn, dog at my feet. The next morning, I went outside and saw something that made my stomach drop. Footprints. Fresh human footprints circled the entire house. They stopped at every single window, like someone was trying to look in, searching for me. I followed the prints around the property, and they eventually led into the forest. I followed them maybe half a mile before they started to zigzag, veer off, loop back, like whoever made them was trying to throw me off their trail. I turned back. Something told me it was a bad idea to keep going. That night, the tapping came back, louder this time. I knew it was him. I unlocked my door, grabbed my shotgun, and stepped onto the second-story deck. I flipped on the fog lights that illuminated the backyard. There he was. Same man, same smile, and same dead eyes. He was holding the knife again, staring directly at me like he could see through me. I raised the shotgun and shouted, "If you don't leave, I'll put one right through you." He didn't move or flinch, just stared unblinking, grinning. I fired a warning shot into the air, and that finally got a reaction. He staggered a bit, then slowly backed into the woods, still facing me. That's when I decided to unleash the dog. I sprinted downstairs, threw open the sliding door, and let him loose. He bolted into the forest like a black missile, barking and snarling. I'd never seen him that aggressive. He had a shock collar, so he couldn't go far, but I like to think he chased that guy off for good, because after that night, I never saw him again.